This week on The Startup Life.
My biggest fear, I always say, is, man, I don't want to go to heaven. Mm-hmm. And God says, Darnell, look down there. I'm like, Lord, that looks nice. He's like, yeah, I had all that for you.
Right, right.
But you did not use your full gifts and talents. So,
I hear that. All right, Startup Nation. So let's take flight with Darnell Reid, founder and CEO of Good Hands Community Care. The Startup Life begins now.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
Oh, this you crazy mother.
Hey, Startup Nation. Do you enjoy The Startup Life? Now you can let the world know with gear from the show. Choose from the Label Yourself, Make Your Own Luck, and Making Money t-shirts to tell your story of your path of entrepreneurship. Click the link in the show notes to purchase. All right, Startup Nation. So I hope you're ready to receive some value today. We're here with my guy today. There's a really special guest today. Founder of Good Hands Community Care and host of the Memphis Success podcast, my man Darnell Reid. What's going on, man?
What's going on? What's up, man?
Nice. This is a really special honor for me to have you on the show, man. As you know, Startup Nation, me and Kendra were on Memphis Success, and now we are returning the favor to have Darnell on The Startup Life, man. You ready to pour some knowledge in the Startup Nation today, man?
Let's get it started, man.
Alrighty. So, first things first, man. What's your story or your path of entrepreneurship?
Well, hey, before we get started, man, I just, first of all, just say thank you to The Startup Life, to you, Dominic, and Kendra, as well as being on Memphis Success, man. You know, I really enjoyed our conversation that we had, so I know we're going to do the same thing here.
Absolutely.
So, wow, you know, what started me on this path of entrepreneurship and so forth, and, man, it really, I think it's just a combination of things that happened in my life, you know, and I kind of go back to thinking in the 80s, man, my parents, both with their master's degrees and so forth, but during their time frame, they both got laid off from their job. And, I mean, it really just shifted the dynamics, you know, of our household. And I think that kind of led to their unfortunate divorce.
Gotcha.
And we moved out. My mother and I moved back to my grandmother's home and with my uncle, and the crazy thing is my uncle, his name was John Johnson. He was kind of the entrepreneur mindset.
Understood.
And so back in the day, he bought a vending machine, a Coca-Cola vending machine.
Okay.
And so we had it on the side of the house.
Gotcha.
And then he also started to buy snacks and candy, so we ended up becoming the candy lady.
Gotcha.
You know, house. But see, he would be working, and so after school when I was home, you know, kids and people would come to my house, trying to get the Cokes and buying the snacks, and so I would start selling, you know, them the snacks.
Right.
And you know, I would just kind of see that, and my uncle never paid me, but I ate some product.
Gotcha.
But, you know, the one thing that I wanted to share was that during my teenage years, I remember this clear as day, man. I was dribbling the ball in my neighborhood, and I was about 15, and I wanted to make some money, and I was just saying how I wanted to start to work. And I think you had to maybe be 16 at that time.
Right.
But I remember this old gentleman just kind of walking down the street, asking me what I was doing. I was like, hey, man, I wish I could go work. And he said this to me, and I think this really, you know, planted the seed in my life. He said, you know, instead of going to get a job, he said, your job should be to create jobs. And, you know, I didn't know what that meant, entrepreneurship, I really just didn't, you know, really fully understood that, but it did kind of shift my mindset, and I think it planted a seed in me. And, really just fast forward, going to college, the University of Tennessee in Knoxville. And
Go Vols.
Yeah, go Vols. And, my sister-in-law and brother-in-law introduced me to 2 books that really were influential. And the first book was the Think and Grow Rich, A Black Choice.
Okay.
By Dennis Kimbrough.
Okay.
And that was the first time I've ever read like a self-help, motivational, type of book, and just hearing stories about African American that were very successful, in what they were doing. And then the second book was the Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Gotcha.
By Robert Kiyosaki,
Right.
and just talked about real estate and the different cash flow quadrants, and that further just expanded my mind. And still at that point in time, I really had never started a business or invested in anything at that point in time. But, I started to work in corporate America, and I promise you, man, every company I've worked for, they had layoffs. They had layoffs. And it really kind of brought me back to the time with my parents.
Gotcha.
And, I was married, it just made me, kind of just took me back. Like, okay, I don't want to be in this situation where I'm limited by one source of income. And if that stops,
Right.
then, just the ripple effect that it could have on our life. And so at that point in time, that just really said, hey, I got to make a change.
Absolutely.
I got to make a difference. And so that's really just my background of just really what really just got me started on this entrepreneurial journey to really, figure out ways to have multiple streams of income.
I hear that. That's an excellent and powerful story. Thank you for sharing that, man. What was your first business idea, and what did you do with it?
All right, so the first business idea, I'm going to actually tell you about 2. But
Okay.
Kind of going back to the same story I was just sharing. I was working at this company. We went to the National Black MBA Association Conference in Philadelphia. And we're up there recruiting, for candidates to come work. And then I got the message that we're having layoffs. When we get back to Dallas, I'm like, I'm up here recruiting, and you telling me, my job's at risk. So,
It's kind of crazy.
right, it was. So another coworker and I, and he and I were pretty close. And man, I hit him up. I was like, dude, we got to change. We got to do something.
Right.
And at the club, me and him were further talking over some refreshments.
Gotcha.
And we were like, man, we got to do something when we get back to Dallas. So we got back, and honestly, man, we didn't have a clue of what to start, what to do. But I just said, look, man, we got to sell something.
Right.
We got to start selling something. And so my friend was big into games. And I just said, hey, let's start trying to sell educational games.
Okay.
Let's try to find like black games that we can sell to African Americans.
Right.
So we found a wholesaler that sold this black trivia game. And we bought some black dolls. And, this was probably in 2003 when we were doing this. And, man, I created a website back then. I was using Dreamweaver. I don't know if you're familiar with it.
Vaguely familiar, yeah.
So that was back in the day.
Right.
So I used this Dreamweaver tool. And man, we were just out there hustling in Dallas, going out to South Dallas, Redbird Mall, for any of those who may be familiar with that. And, we were just out there really trying to push it. I was going to church events, and actually, it sold. But the crazy thing is, I was getting it from the wholesaler,
Right.
and I said, well, hey, I'm gonna try to see if I can get it cheaper.
Right.
In some kind of way, man, I found the guy who created the product.
Oh, wow.
I called him up, and I was like, hey, I'm out here selling your game. And I bought it from this. I'm buying it from this company. I just wanted to see what kind of rates, that you could give me.
For sure.
And
for sure.
he actually quoted me a higher rate.
Wow.
He quoted me a higher rate, but then he said this. He said, man, how are you selling this? And I was like, man, we out here in the streets,
Right.
hand-to-hand combat, trying to Sell your product.
It's funny you mention that. A lot of people don't understand that entrepreneurship is a lot of hand-to-hand combat when you trying to knock on them doors and stuff like that, for sure. But, so go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Hey, no problem. So but then he was like, man, he said, I got it in Walmart. I got the games in Walmart. And then at the end, he just said, well, thank you.
Right.
And then I took it like, I'm sitting up here making this man rich. He don't even know me.
Right.
From Adam.
Absolutely.
And so my partner and I, we decided just to kind of shift gears and try to move away from doing the retailing of these games. And the next idea that really kind of took off for us was this one called Replay Games. And it was an online video game trading website. We had created this website and we had got traffic to it. We were going on these forums and, kind of hyping up like, yeah, I'm trading my game on this site.
Gotcha.
And it's the whole typical, me and him wrote it out on some paper.
Right.
And initially we called ourselves trying to develop the website ourselves. But one of the best things we did was outsource that. It was a website called Elance.
Okay.
Back in the day, and we found a software developer or a web developer.
Gotcha.
And he was like in the Ukraine, and he created the site. And we had a lot of people sign up to it, but we just didn't get the transactions that we truly needed.
Understood.
And
Understood.
Eventually we just had to decide to move on from it. So,
Gotcha.
Man, that was kind of like our first 2 journeys of really trying to get out there. But the thing is, obviously we learned so much.
Absolutely.
From that experience.
Absolutely. A lot of times when we have those ventures, some entrepreneurs make the mistake of not learning anything from that. But no, you're absolutely right, for sure. Thank you for sharing that. Now, who or what inspires you as an entrepreneur and why?
Yeah, a lot of people inspire me. You can think about Jeff Bezos with Amazon,
right.
or Fred Smith with FedEx. There's so many of those guys, but honestly, it's hard to relate.
Understood.
To them.
Understood.
Because they already are out there. But
right.
They make it something to aspire to.
For sure.
But really, who inspires me are local Memphis entrepreneurs. Honestly, that's the reason why I started Memphis Success. And so, I'm inspired by the Moles Bows.
Right.
I'm inspired by the Owls of the world.
You too nice.
I'm inspired by, Summer Owens with So What, or Daniel Watson with Beneva Mayweather Foods.
Absolutely.
And so, I'm inspired by Memphis entrepreneurs because that means like, hey, there are people right here in the Mid-South who are able and capable, and they're doing an amazing things. And,
right.
And I know what it takes to start a business. And so when I see people doing it, like, hey, I know you're going through it,
right.
But you're making it, and
right.
you're making it happen. So that's the people who inspire me, to do this.
Gotcha. I appreciate that. But nah, man, you're absolutely right. When you see somebody going through it, like you go through it, like it builds that camaraderie, right? So,
right.
No.
And I would just say one other thing. That's the who, but what kind of inspires me, man, is all I want to do is just live up to the gifts that God has given me.
I hear that.
I just want to live full and die empty.
I hear that.
And I just, my biggest fear, I always say is, man, I don't want to go to heaven. And God says, Darnell, look down there. I'm like, Lord, that looks nice. You're like, yeah, I had all that for you.
Right. Right.
But you did not use your full gifts and talents. So,
I hear that.
That's what inspires me, man.
I hear that, man. That's powerful stuff. Thank you for sharing that, for sure. Now, let me ask you this, man. What do you wish you would have known before you started your business? Or the first business, rather?
That's a toughie. I think just the importance of marketing and sales.
Gotcha.
I don't know if there's anything technical I would want to learn because known in advance.
Right.
Because there's some things, if I would have known in advance, I'd have been like, okay, I'm not doing it.
Right.
I'm not going to pursue it at all.
Right.
And so I think I'm a truly believer that you shouldn't need to know everything because then you're wasting time.
I hear that.
You're in analysis paralysis. I mean, get the basics of what you need to get started,
Right.
and just go for it. So I think one of the big things just in the first business maybe is just the persistence, as well as just kind of doing research ahead of time to see if people are going to really buy what you're talking about.
Understood.
And just having that persistence, I think, is key as well.
Gotcha. Understood. Great stuff for sure. So I imagine you spent some time in the corporate America.
Right.
All right. So what did you learn from the worst boss you've ever had?
I think the worst boss, and this is how it kind of plays into being a business owner, is micromanaging.
Okay.
Micromanaging.
That's usually a big one.
Micromanaging. And as an entrepreneur, when you first start off, you do everything.
Right.
You do everything from, making the sales to actually maybe doing the job to actually doing the invoicing to marketing. I mean, the whole nine. And what I've learned is as you grow, you gotta hire people. Either if you're outsourcing people, they're still working for you, or you're actually hiring somebody who's a full-time employee for you. And you really, as a business owner, you have to trust in the skill set that you've hired that person to handle for you.
Understood.
And if you're really trying to grow, you gotta learn how to delegate and have confidence in what they're doing. You gotta if they make a mistake, you just can't just totally ridicule them, of that. If they're honestly really trying to help, and and they make a mistake and it didn't just kill the business, then you can learn and grow from it, So, not micromanaging, I will just say, have a high level expectations, reports and things that can be those check-in points to make sure that things are getting done. But, the worst thing to do is to have a good employee and then run them off. Because you're trying to do their job that you hire them to do.
Absolutely, for sure.
So, I mean, I think that's just very key, especially as you want to grow. You got to empower the people that you have around you to be successful, so you can do what you've been called to do, the gifts and talents that you have, and then having the other people handle the rest.
Understood. Now, for what you do at Good Hands, it's a little bit different than like if you were selling cupcakes or cakes or something like that, right? So, with that being said, how do you market or advertise Good Hands? Do you use social media? Is word of mouth work best? How does that work for you?
It's a combination of a lot of things. I think for us, a bulk of our business comes through referrals.
Gotcha.
From current clients. Also, we have a program for our employees that kind of a referral bonus type of program where since they are out and they are wearing our uniforms a lot of or t-shirts, a lot of times they may get questions about it.
Gotcha.
And so we educate them on the script to kind of say to help promote the business. But yeah, we use social media. We've done advertisements within Facebook, as well as radio advertisements and advertising in local papers and so forth.
Gotcha.
But the biggest thing also is networking. And, trying to network with who I call the doorkeepers or the...
I hear that.
The gatekeepers, sorry. The gatekeepers.
Gotcha.
And one thing that I always suggest doing, just for any business, you really need to figure out who is your top 100. I call it my hit list.
Okay. Gotcha. Not hit list in the sense of like knocking them off, but like hit list in the sense of like contacting them, right?
Right. I mean, who are those key influencers?
Right, for sure.
In your industry or in your business, and jot down 100. And I say 100 because everybody's not going to work with you, right? Or they're going to be hard to reach. And so you need to have the numbers to, maybe out of 100, maybe you can get 10.
Right.
But those 10 can be very strong and constantly bringing you business.
Right.
But you also at the same time want to see how you can add value to what they're doing, right? It got to be a mutual beneficial, relationship.
Absolutely.
And so that's what we try to do, and we call them our power partners, and figure out how we can work together. And honestly, man, it doesn't take that many.
Gotcha.
But you got to make those strong connections
For sure.
and build those strong relationships with those power partners.
For sure.
That's kind of our approach to try to continuously market and advertise our business.
I hear that. What did you learn from your biggest failure, Darnell?
My biggest failure, really going back to, I guess you can call it a failure, but I call it a learning experience.
Okay, understood.
But
Understood.
with replay games, with that site, and once we ended that business, it really took us 2 years before we came up with this idea.
Okay.
And I think really over those 2 years, I pretty much was in a kind of a pity party state.
Gotcha.
Okay, I mean, I was like, man, we spent this money. It wasn't successful.
Right.
And, we were kind of in this pity party state, and we really couldn't come up with another idea. And, we just kind of licked our wounds during that time frame where I think in hindsight, we should just realize what it was. Hey, it's just another notch under the belt, another story to add to our success.
Right.
And to be able to quickly move on and try to come with another idea.
Gotcha.
And so I think the failure was just the time lapse.
Understood.
Of really just being in that state of mind where we should have been able to shift gears and move forward.
I hear that. Appreciate you sharing that. So entrepreneurs consider themselves lifelong learners, always engaged in professional development. What does that mean to you, and what are you learning now?
I totally agree. I'm constantly listening to podcast shows, the Startup Life.
No, don't do that.
I had to do that. But I'm constantly learning. But learning from my guests that I have on my show, and listening to other people's podcast shows. I mean, honestly, I just think it's a very easy and convenient platform where you can constantly learn as I'm driving or as I'm working out with my headphones on.
Right, for sure.
But I do like attending conferences where I can meet other like-minded people who are trying to maybe pursue the same things that I'm pursuing.
Right.
Also, reading books and so forth. So, some of the people I like to listen to are, Les Brown, E.T., Eric Thomas. I listen to a guy named Grant Cardone.
Oh, yeah. Everybody loves Grant. Uncle G. Uncle G. For sure.
And then sometimes I like to listen to Jim Rohn.
Okay.
He shares, and the thing I love about each one of those guys is that they're just different, and different in their approach. They're different on how they explain and break things down. For sure. And then I also listen to this guy named Russell Bronson with with
for sure. ClickFunnels, yeah.
So those are the main people that I'm listening to right now to continue to improve what I'm doing. My big focus, I believe, as a business owner, is really more on the marketing side of the business.
Understood.
And I believe, in just my personal opinion, as the CEO or business owner, and you have a team, that the business owner, I think, job is to help continue to expand and grow.
Absolutely.
And as well as keenly marketing the business. And then you hire your other team members to make sure we can execute on the operational aspects of it. But I guess I'm very big on just more of the marketing aspects of what we're trying to do. And then one other person that I listen to, his name is Dan Kennedy.
Okay.
And he's really strong in marketing and has several books out there. So that's how I try to, as they say, sharpen the saw. And,
I hear that.
And try to stay on the cutting edge of what we're trying to do.
Gotcha. Now, Darnell, we're sitting in this awesome facility
I appreciate
of yours,
it, man.
right? we'll talk about that a little bit later. But as you sit here, and you're a graduate of University of Tennessee,
Go Vols.
Go Vols, right? Who are having an amazing basketball season.
Yeah, I think we beat Kentucky.
They did. I think two times this year, I believe. Yeah. So, with that being said, some people say, in order to be successful as an entrepreneur, you go to college, get some networking, this, that, and the other, right? Get some contacts, whatever. Right. Some people say you just need work ethic and a dream. So you're kind of on both ends of that spectrum. So what say you? What's the best route to go?
Here's my thoughts. And my mind has kind of shifted over time.
Gotcha.
I am a proponent of education.
Absolutely.
We give a scholarship every year to students, seniors,
okay,
who are going to college and try to give them some money to help pursue their dreams.
Right.
And so I do believe in education. I know education has opened up doors for me. My struggle nowadays is the cost of education.
Understood.
And
Understood.
I know people who are coming out with serious amounts of debt.
Right.
And so that's kind of my challenge with the education front.
Right.
I do believe that, students are the customers.
Absolutely.
And eventually it's going to get to a point where the customer is going to say, I'm no longer paying this dollar amount. I'm not going to come out with $100,000 in debt for this.
Right. Absolutely.
I'm not going. So I think is eventually, hopefully by the time my son gets ready to go to college, is the price of schooling going to come down. Now, to be a successful entrepreneur, I don't believe you have to have a college education. I think, once again, I still believe college is great because I think college does teach you responsibility.
Absolutely.
This is the first time that you're most likely out the house from your parents, or you're on your own.
Right.
It's teaching you that responsibility. Also, you're starting to, maybe hang around a different group of people.
Absolutely.
And so, I do think, those are the benefits. But on the entrepreneurial side, I do think you got to have the hustle.
Absolutely.
Right. I know there's successful people with college degrees, and I know successful people without, college degrees. I think you just got to find your path. I don't think there's just one clear approach to it, but with entrepreneurship, with nowadays, with just so much free information out there, I think people can get started. And I really do believe, if you got the hustle and you got the drive, and you're already focused on what you want to do, you maybe don't need, that college degree. So, it's just really not a clear black and white, answer to that.
Gotcha.
So
no, understood.
I do believe the degrees and information, I think, has helped me be able to grow the business.
Absolutely.
Knowing how to network with people and talk with people, understand the finances of things. I think my education did help in that front.
Absolutely.
But the hustle, the education just ain't gonna give you that.
Right.
That gotta be innate inside of you to go get it, man.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. And I appreciate your candidness with that answer, because the thing is, we understand that, like, some people believe one way, some people believe another way, and some people believe, what you believe. And so it's just always interesting to hear other people's perspective.
What's your thoughts?
For me, it's along the lines of yours. It's one of those things where, we ask so much of 18-year-olds in this country, whether it be to join the military, to fight, in wars in foreign lands, or to ask them to, hey, take $100,000 in debt to go to college. And I guess my personal belief is there's education all around us, and I believe that there's a reason that you should go to college, and I can see a path to where maybe I see another path to success that's outside of a 4-year institution.
Right.
So no, I think I'm kind of along the lines of where you are as far as on that question. Nobody's ever asked me that. It's my podcast, man. I was already on yours. I'll just play.
But you got so many examples. Bill Gates,
absolutely, you do, right?
So those who
exactly
didn't complete college.
Exactly. No, I totally agree. And that's honestly why we had the question in here for sure. Thank you for sharing that. Well, last question before we go to break, man. What does your average day look like? Right, sun up, sun down. Be as specific as possible.
Okay. Well, normally when I'm driving in, I'm already calling the office and checking on, just making sure all of our caregivers are, at the home.
For sure.
If there's any issues, that we're having, reaching out to my business development guide, seeing what initiatives that we got scheduled, for the week or anything upcoming, what's in the pipeline.
For sure.
Of things that we can maybe start providing services on. And honestly, I look at the bank account.
Fair enough.
I look at the bank account, make sure, what expenses came out, what money came in.
Right.
And really, and I think, I know we're laughing about that because a lot of people wouldn't probably talk about that.
Right.
But as business owners, you got to understand your cash flow.
Absolutely.
Right? You got to understand your cash flow.
Yes.
Cash is king in the business sense. I mean, that's the lifeblood, right? I mean, if you got people working for you, they want to get paid.
Yes, they do.
And so, I tightly monitor our cash flow in the business, the money coming in and the money going out.
Right.
And, just making sure we got adequate money, in the business. And so anyway.
No. It's great stuff for sure. Go ahead.
But those are the main things, that I'm looking at. And, just further looking out at, improving our services, improving, and making sure that we have happy employees.
Absolutely.
As well as just what are our go-forward plans for the upcoming month and out from a marketing and business standpoint. For sure. Those are my main things that I focus on. And also just looking at our metrics of how we have some key performance indicators that we try to measure to make sure that we are going forward on our goals.
Understood. All right, man. So we're gonna go ahead and take a quick break. How you like being on the Startup Life,
man? Hey, man, enjoying it, man. Like always.
All right. All right, Startup Nation. So I hope you're getting great value from Darnell, but we gotta pay some bills. Once again, my name is Dominic Lawson, and you're listening to the Startup Life. If you are a teacher looking for great resources, look no further than our Teaching with Al section of our website. Enjoy great lessons such as our mini lesson for the story of an hour, or dive into the Nixon presidency as part of our legacy series. Enjoy great peace of mind from our units as they are Common Core aligned. Click the link in the show notes to purchase. All right, Startup Nation, so let's continue. So, Mr. Reid.
Yes, sir.
We're in this amazing facility that you just moved into, man.
All right, thank you.
Tell us about that process when it's time to expand and get a larger space for your business. Mm-hmm. What's the thinking behind that? Like, what's your thought process on that?
Well, I'm going to kind of take it on the stages that we've gone through. And this is our third location since we've started. Mm-hmm. And in March, we'll be celebrating 8 years in business. Nice. But when we first got started, it was just one of those things like, okay, we have to have a location. Mm-hmm. And we found a location out here in the Hickory Hill area. It was a very small, it was probably half the size. Gotcha. I mean, very half the size. And I mean, you know, we were trying to be very resourceful, and managing our money. Right. Absolutely. We didn't know, you know, if this was going to work or not. And but as we grew, we decided that we needed to move to another location.
For sure.
And so at that point in time, we had consistent revenue, consistent cash flow. I knew, where we were at financially, and so I knew we could afford at that point in time to move to the location you last were at.
Understood.
And we stayed at that location for probably the first location for maybe a year, and then we were at that location, I guess 6 years.
Okay.
And
right.
we were at that location, and some of the telltale signs was that as we were growing, I had to hire more people.
Right.
Well, then as we hired more people, we didn't have space, for them.
Gotcha.
And then one thing that I didn't like was the way the room was designed. Was when we were doing training for new caregivers.
Gotcha.
When people walked in, they were like right on top of us.
Gotcha.
And I just didn't feel like it was no longer as professional.
Understood.
As I wanted it to be.
Understood.
And so at that point in time, just the pure size of the number of employees we had, as well as just the foot traffic that we had, people coming in and out, I just didn't feel, we needed to grow. We needed to move to another space.
Understood.
And so we started to look at other spaces, and we were renting, at that time.
Right.
And so we were looking at other spaces within the same facility. And, they quoted me the monthly leasing amount. But the kicker was it had to get some renovation done into it.
Gotcha.
And so they wanted us to lock in for a 3-year lease agreement. And so, at first I was fine with that. And I asked him, what if we ever need to break the lease? What penalties or what things would that incur? And he just said, hey, you would have to pay off the rest of the lease. I said, what?
Wow.
He said, you would have to pay off the rest of the lease.
Wow.
So, in my mind, I just did the math. And I calculated, so for 3 years at that rate, it was going to be this amount.
Right.
And after the 3 years, I won't own anything.
Right. Right.
I won't own any equity in the building. You could turn around and raise the rate, or you could turn around and kick me out.
Right.
And so at that point in time, we went to a month-to-month
Gotcha.
agreement with them. So I was paying more than what my normal rent was. And,
for sure.
We just started to look around. We went to this site called LoopNet.
Okay.
LoopNet.com, where they sell commercial properties.
Okay.
They, like Realtors.com is mainly for residential.
Right,
LoopNet
for sure.
has more commercial properties.
Gotcha.
And so, we just looked around, and honestly, I truly believe it was a blessing. We saw this building, and I think we really had a motivated seller. They were already gone from the building, so the building was empty. It needed tons of renovation in it, and so we were able to further get the price down because of the renovation efforts that were needed. And we were able to get a good bank lender for commercial property.
Okay.
And it's different than buying residential
for sure.
property
for
with
sure.
A higher down payment and so forth. But man, it's just been a true blessing to be able to own the building,
Right.
And
that's real dope, Darnell,
and
for
be
sure.
able to gain equity, in it. So I mean, we're really excited about it. As you can see, it kind of gives us elbow room,
Right.
and room to grow. And so hey, that's just it.
That's what's up, man. Startup Nation, we're sitting in this amazing conference room that Darnell is talking about. So this is great stuff for sure.
Thank you.
So
So I would just say this, man. I would just encourage those entrepreneurs. You just have to find when it's right for you.
I hear that.
You gotta find, when your cash flow is strong. Everyone doesn't need to buy space, but we just felt, for us, it just didn't make economical sense when renting versus owning for us
Right.
in our situation.
Right.
And I know nowadays a lot of businesses can be virtual, but for us, we operate where everyone comes into the facility
Right.
to work. So I mean, once your money's right, and I definitely would suggest doing it because you gain the value of ownership.
All right.
In a building. And if we ever need to, we can sell and recoup and actually get the appreciation from
Right.
it. So
For sure. Thank you for sharing that, man. That's good stuff.
thank you.
What's the best and worst piece of advice you've ever gotten?
So the best advice now I've received and heard tons of quotes.
And there's a lot of them out there.
Yeah, tons of quotes. But a friend of mine, he probably won't even remember this.
Okay.
But I was in junior high. And, maybe 8th grade, 7th, 8th grade. And I was talking to this young lady on the phone. I had never met her in person.
Right.
And we were just talking on the phone. And we were like, okay, we're going to meet up at the Mall of Memphis. Alright. He said, we're going to meet, just...
Right.
we're just youth, young kids. We're going to meet at the Mall of Memphis.
I laugh because that's a very old statement, Startup Nation, because the Mall of Memphis isn't there anymore.
Right.
And I remember meeting plenty of young ladies at the Mall of Memphis. But go ahead, Darnell. My apologies.
We're going to meet at the Mall of Memphis at the skating ring, at the ice skating ring, right? I'm like, okay, cool. So, but here's the thing. So I had never met her before. We just talked on the phone.
Right.
And I told my boy, I said, man, I'm nervous. I'm nervous to meet her. He started to talk, but the one thing that he shared with me that really stuck with me, and I think is helpful from a business standpoint, he said this, man. He said, remain confident. You got to have your confidence.
I hear that.
You got to have your confidence. And, like I said before, I know tons of quotes and this and that, but that one thing he told me, he probably didn't remember the conversation, but,
Gotcha.
but my friend said, man, just remain confident. And she would like the confidence in you.
Right.
And so I think from a business standpoint, I think that's important because, people like to do business with people they know, like, and trust.
Absolutely.
Okay? And I think that is all based upon the confidence that you show in what you do. And so if you are trying to sell whatever product or service, you got to be confident in what you're doing. You got to come across confident that, hey, that we can deliver, we can make it happen for whatever, service that you're providing. And then that will give reassurance to the person that's buying your product or service that they're making a good decision. So I guess that's why I kind of say confidence is very key. And when my friend told me to have confidence when going to see her, but so yeah, that's probably one of the best advice. And I try to be confident in what we're doing. And I think you can build your confidence by obviously practicing,
right?
Constantly improving, and and then that's how you kind of build your confidence to get better at what you're doing. And then the worst advice was when I was at the University of Tennessee. At that point in time, I was a finance major.
Okay.
And I had visions of Wall Street and investment banking and all those things. So I was in this investment class, and I remember another student. It was a graduate assistant teaching the class.
Gotcha.
And I remember another student just making a comment about how you get to Wall Street, and the GA said this. He said, "You at the wrong school." He said, "You need to be at Wharton, Harvard,
gotcha. Right,
yada yada." And I mean, he never knew. I had aspirations of that, but that really did sink into my mind. Like, okay, well,
gotcha.
I'm at the wrong school. I'm not, being able to make it there. But I know people actually from University of Tennessee who are on Wall Street,
right?
right now. But the point I wanted to make with that was this: any advice someone gives you, you got to understand maybe their perspective and kind of where they're at,
right?
And why they are saying that,
right?
And in hindsight, and obviously as I'm older now, maybe he couldn't get to Wall Street,
right?
And trying to reflect what he wasn't able to do,
absolutely,
upon us. And so, my point is just to, when someone gives you any type of advice, just try to think about where they're coming from, what their perspective is, before you truly take it to heart. And be careful, who you let feed into your life.
I hear that. That's very important, because many people will project their issues and stuff onto you. So
what's the saying? Your limitations are not my limitations.
Absolutely. Right. For sure. Thank you for sharing that. What do you think is a popular misconception about business, and why?
Man, some people think it's just so easy.
Right.
Man, I'm be totally transparent. Man, I was talking to one of my partners. I was like, man, some days you just want to throw in the towel. Check up the deuces.
Right. Forget this.
So, because, I know a lot of people may think with this type of business, like, oh, you just hire people, send them out. But there's a lot more,
right?
That just, goes into it. And so I think the misconception is maybe that it's just easy. And then nowadays, it is, I think entrepreneurship is more glamorized now.
For sure.
And you hear more about all of the wins that everyone has. And, social media can make you believe like everybody's balling, everybody's winning, everybody's business is making money. But on the back end, what's the real story? And no one, nowadays really talks about some of the lessons learned or failures, or businesses that just didn't work out.
Absolutely.
And there's a lot of those. And
sure.
Man, I was sharing. I think you had made a post. Because how many years you guys are in business?
5 years now.
5 years. Yeah, I remember. And we're celebrating 8. But I just remember there's a saying that 90. It's a high percentage of businesses fail.
Right.
In the first year or two. Right. And I'm not saying all this to discourage anybody. Right. I just want them to realize there's a lot of work, that goes into it. And I heard someone say the analogy about when you look at a rocket take off, just all of that gas, that it takes to break through that gravity, and to get into outer space, and then they're able to go. And I think that's the same, thing into business. It's a lot of effort to get started, but eventually you'll have that breakthrough. And you'll be able to move forward.
Absolutely.
So, I just want to, I still want to encourage people. I mean, it's been a tremendous journey, a tremendous ride. You'll have, you'll appreciate the process and the work and the appreciation that everyone has put into and support, that you'll get to pursue it. But, it is some work to be done.
Absolutely, for sure. So the name of your company is Good Hands, and so I'm curious about how did you come up with the idea or concept to call it that?
Okay. Well, I just want to kind of, and I haven't touched on this piece, but I'll just give you a little background about how we even got started. So, after those 2 years of sulking, that the other business didn't work and we lost money.
Right.
So over those 2 years, what really happened was my partner and I, we said, okay, man, what's going to be the next move? Like, this ain't it.
Right.
We ain't done.
Right.
And we said, okay, I said, let's just start writing down a list of attributes that we want our new business to be.
Gotcha.
We don't know what it is. Let's just start writing down stuff. And so actually him and his wife came into town. We're good friends. And so me and him were in the office and we just started to write certain things down. And a couple of things, I mean, we had a list of things, but two main things that bubbled up was I wanted to hire people.
Gotcha.
I wanted to hire people from my community.
I hear that.
And now as I say that, it just makes me think back on that old guy telling me this.
Right.
But he just said, I said, hey, I want to hire people from my community, blah, blah, blah. My partner said, I want to have some type of service business where we're helping people.
Gotcha.
Okay? And come to find out, his mother had home care services before.
Gotcha.
She had, I think, ALS or something like that. And so that's what he saw all his life. but once again, we weren't at the idea yet.
Right.
But
Gotcha.
we were just listing kind of attributes of things. And so so then we would come up with different ideas, and we would throw it up against our list.
Gotcha.
And we were like, it meets this, but it don't meet that.
Gotcha.
And so
What was one of them, if you don't mind asking? Mind me asking.
I can't recall.
Can't recall. Okay,
I
fair
can't
enough.
recall,
Fair
but,
enough. Okay.
So what happened was my grandmother lived in Binghamton
Okay.
at the time. And so I would call her up and let her know I was coming over. She had the, security door and the regular door, and she kept it locked. And so I would call her, let her know I'm coming, and then I would call her when I was at the door. And man, it would literally take her about 10 minutes, to come to the door. And then I could hear her patting on the side of the door, and she was looking for a key. And eventually she would unlock the door and let me in. And what had transpired was she started to get glaucoma.
Gotcha.
And her eyesight was starting to fade. Plus, she was older.
Right.
And she would let me in. And, and honestly, I just started to have concerns. Like, man, what happens if a fire happens? She's home alone. And, like, hey, we need to get somebody here. I tried to talk to my aunt, who was the main caregiver. And, my aunt, in hindsight, I just didn't realize this, but, my aunt was doing a fantastic job, for my grandmother, and, the family loved and appreciated her for that. But
sure.
I think maybe when we were having the conversation, I think maybe in hindsight, she may have thought I was saying, like, she wasn't doing, doing a good job.
Gotcha.
And a lot of times, and my aunt is the eldest daughter, and the eldest daughter is normally the one who's taking care of the parent.
For sure.
And so, I know she's probably superwoman, and all of that. So, I just figured, like, hey, I was telling her about resources and company, like, no.
Right.
And so I was just like, hey, if I start a business, I want to send the best person to care for my grandmother.
Of course.
Out here.
Of course.
And so I took that idea and I said, hey, I think this matches up with the list.
Gotcha.
And so I hit my partner up and I was like, hey, man, what about an in-home care agency? And also, let me just not add this. I did know of a company.
Gotcha.
That was, doing this service. And I saw that they were doing well. And so, me and him talked. And then that's when he shared with me about his mother, having the ALS. And that's, they had caregivers coming in the home.
Gotcha.
For her. And so, that really sparked the idea of let's doing this. And then I also just did some online research of like what were the hot business opportunities at the time, and this was this was 2010,
right,
when we were doing this, and I saw healthcare,
yeah,
I saw that,
sure.
said, hey, okay, we're gonna hit this and we're gonna roll.
Gotcha.
So that's how the business idea came along. And I also have another partner, and she's like a second mother to me. Okay. And she had worked in this field before. And so the three of us really came together and made it happen. Now, with the idea of the name, it was just, we wanted to be good and great at what we do.
Understood.
And hands, we are going out, touching the clients, and providing that care for them. So it was just good hands, and we thought that would kind of sound out something positive with the name, as well as something that could expand further than Memphis.
For sure.
So
for sure. Thank you for sharing that. For sure. I want to ask you this, and I I want to expand it just a little bit. So first of all, what do you look for in an employee, right? But on top of that, I want to know, how do you take on the responsibility of that employee? Because the thing is, a lot of times, you talked about this glamorified life of entrepreneurship and being a boss and CEO, this, that, and the other, right? But I think many people don't understand that, like, when you hire an employee, you're providing this livelihood for this person. And that's a massive responsibility.
Right.
So if you would talk about what you look for in an employee and talk about that responsibility of providing a livelihood for somebody in their family.
At least in this business, we have kind of our administrative team, and then we have our caregivers.
For sure.
And so, obviously with our caregivers, we mainly look for CNAs or people who have experience in this. And we really look for people who have a true caring heart.
Absolutely.
In going out there and providing the service. And, we do that through our interviews, background checks, references, and really just try to find someone who's truly committed and just understanding the impact that they're making, in the lives of the clients that we serve.
For sure.
And just also as just a background, both of my grandmothers were actually caregivers themselves.
Okay.
And I remember seeing my grandmother. She worked the third shift. She would get dressed in her all white and white shoes. That was the attire back then.
Right. That sounds very throwback for sure. For sure.
But so I'm a grandchild of a caregiver, and both of them did that, and so that's kind of what we look for.
Gotcha.
In our caregivers. Honestly, I try to I have my HR person. This is how I look at it: hire people that we would want to take care of our grandmother.
I hear that.
Or our parents.
For sure.
Right, and let's if we do that, we'll be okay from that standpoint. Now, from the administrative team, that I have, I really look for people who have the desires to learn, want us to grow and succeed. Obviously, who have the skill sets,
right?
That we're looking for, as well as being a team player. Now, I may say you HR, you sales, but if we need to handle whatever,
right?
It doesn't matter what your title is,
right?
We gonna go out there and make it as a team,
right?
Because we got team goals, and as I jokingly, we had a meeting. And I had my salesperson speaking. I said, guys, who is on sales? And everybody said, everybody on sales.
I hear that. Gotcha. Understood.
Right. So anyway, it's a team effort. People who are committed, want to help us grow. As a part, they will grow. And one of the beautiful things about being in a small business is, man, the level of responsibility and the impact that you make is different than when you work at a big corporation, right?
Gotcha.
The corporation, you're not gonna. I don't care what you do. You rarely gonna just, destroy the company.
Right.
Or but here their responsibility is very key in everything that they do. Is a make or break every situation and every time, and so. Anyway, that's just the beauty about being a small business. You can see the impact, that you're going to make, even from a revenue standpoint, customer satisfaction, employee satisfaction. It's this small team that's going to make it happen.
Gotcha.
So, and I think, what was the second question?
The second part is just like the responsibility of actually, somebody's livelihood and stuff like that. So,
yeah, man. Yeah, I think that's huge, and a lot of people, that's kind of maybe one of the other misconceptions of.
Gotcha. Fair enough.
Just thinking about the decisions I make, right, every day,
right.
The things I may buy, is this a good investment,
right?
That people are depending on me making right decisions.
Absolutely.
That can either make or break the business, and as in turn, if it breaks the business, then they would be out of a job.
Right.
And I got several employees that have children, they have rent, mortgages,
right,
and so forth. So I think it is a very big and huge responsibility, and I definitely don't take it lightly. I think that's why I was saying every day I look at the check account.
Gotcha.
And I always try to make the best decisions. And another big thing that I try to do is, man, I pray for my team.
I hear that.
I pray that I make the right decisions, that we can be successful. I ask God to kind of help lead me to make those decisions.
Understood.
I pray, for the team, for our caregivers going into these homes, because it's a lot of different situations in different environments. And so, I pray for their safety and their care, and as well as, my administrative team, to make good, sound decisions, because I truly empower them to do things. I can't be, in every little bitty, decisions.
Right.
And I don't want to micromanage them,
For sure.
like we talked about. But, at the end of the day, I do believe, like you're stating in the question, it is a huge responsibility to take that on. And I definitely don't take it lightly.
I hear that. Thank you for sharing that. For sure. Let me ask you this, because in our current political climate and things of that nature, everybody has a voice,
Right.
and so as an entrepreneur and as a which kind of makes you a de facto leader in the community, do entrepreneurs have an obligation to give commentary on social issues?
Well, this is my thought. I don't believe it's an obligation.
Okay.
I don't. And when you say commentary, I think we have a lot of people who post stuff on Facebook,
Right.
or they give lip service
Mm-hmm.
to certain things.
Right.
And I just believe in action.
I hear that.
I
hear that.
believe in action. I mean, anybody can post something, anybody can say anything,
Right.
but what are your actions
Exactly.
behind what you stand for?
Right.
And different people move in different ways, but I give credence more to those who take action in whatever they believe in.
Right.
And so, just for me personally, education is important, and so that's why I have my scholarship.
Right.
I
For
want
sure.
to take action toward that.
Right.
Another thing that I was seeing happening is during the summertime, I was seeing a lot of seniors dying from heat exhaustion and so forth.
Right.
And so we normally every other year we'll do a fan drive.
Okay.
Where we give away fans.
Okay.
To seniors in the community.
Absolutely.
Because it just at least breaks my heart when I hear about deaths from heat
Absolutely.
and so forth. So social. I mean, we have a lot. Obviously with this new administration,
Right. Right.
there's
right.
a lot of things that are going on.
Right.
Right. But I always say, you can talk all you want to, but what are you doing?
Absolutely.
So I just kind of, for me, I just ignore the chatter. I pay attention more to the action.
Gotcha. Like, now what you talking about? What you doing?
Right.
What you doing? I got you. Fair enough.
You upset, so what you gonna do about it?
Right.
You ain't doing nothing, man.
Right. But keep talking.
Right.
I got you. Fair enough. So let me ask you this: in running good hands, how have you ever had to turn down a client? Like, because the thing is, it's the whole cliche: not all money is good money,
Right,
whatever
right.
the case may be. Have you ever had to turn down a client before?
Yes.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, man, I think it is a shift because in the beginning, man, you're trying to get it.
Right.
I'm trying to build a business. I'm trying to grow. I'm trying to, provide the service. So when situations come up, you're like, whoa, okay.
Right.
So here's the thing is, yes, like you're saying, all money's not good money. There has been some times where, sleepless nights thinking about certain situations because
Right.
I'm trying to hold on to something.
Absolutely.
And then as you grow, man, you start to think more about risks and liabilities, right? Exposure to certain things.
Right.
And then you say, okay, is all the potential risk now worth trying to hold on to this little money?
I hear that.
And so, yes, I've had situations where we let some clients go, and the crazy thing is this, man. It was some money, right?
Understood.
But I'm sleeping, tossing and turning about the whole situation because I'm thinking about the money.
Right.
But as soon as I let that particular client go, I ended up getting like 3 additional clients that surpassed that.
Right.
And so it made me start to think like, wow, was I blocking my blessing?
I hear that.
You know, on these other 3 because I'm trying to hold on to this one situation. And so, you know, it's all about a good fit, right? It's a good fit on both sides. You know, the client has to be a good fit for us with their situation, and you know, we want to make sure that we're a good fit for them, that we can provide the right level of service and care, you know, for their situation. And so, in the past, you know, I would, you know, if someone was to leave us, I would always ask, and I make those calls back to the client.
Absolutely.
I was like, hey, you know, I understand that you left. You know, what things could we have done better? How can we learn? You know, from those things.
Absolutely.
And so, you know, in my opinion, it is business.
Right.
And we just try to make sure we're a good fit for them as well as you know them for us.
For sure. Who are your mentors?
Yeah, I think you know, I talked a lot about some of these guys already. You know, first I gotta mention Bishop Stevens at Golden Gate Cathedral. Okay. He's my pastor. You know, obviously from a spiritual standpoint, but I also just look at the leadership aspects of it as well. For sure. But also, you know, they may not know that they meant my mentors. Gotcha. But several of those guys that we talked about before with the Jim Rome and the Les Browns of the world and the Russell Brunsons of the world. So those are the guys that I'm normally listening to now to be inspired and to figure out ways to improve what we're doing.
For sure. So Darnell, I believe all entrepreneurs have that one superpower. What's yours and why?
Well, you know, I'm waiting to see the Black Panther movie.
Are we all? Are we all? You gonna dress up with your King of Zamunda outfit?
Yeah, I'm gonna give me something.
Gotcha.
A dashiki or something.
Gotcha. I got you.
Yeah. So, you know, I'm definitely looking forward to it. It's amazing just how people are rallying around.
That's true. That's very true.
You know, man, I would hope that Hollywood gets to notice. You know, that there is black dollars out there. Absolutely. And things that we want to see. For sure. You know, out there. And so I had to just mention that. No, absolutely. The superpowers. So, absolutely. Man, I think the Lord has gifted me with, I guess, a couple of things. I believe, you know, just seeing opportunities.
I hear that.
And seeing the potential that a lot of people could have and do, and the opportunities that they could leverage from the potential, you know, that they have. Right. And so I think I'm able to help people kind of lay out a game plan of like, hey, I got this idea, and then I can just like, oh, you need to be doing you need to be doing these things. Right. But also from a business standpoint, I think it's important as a leader is to be able to rally your team around a common vision and goal. And I believe that I'm able to do that with the ideas that I've had, to try to bring a team around it and us to come together to achieve the goal that we have. For sure. So this is the point of the show, man, where you got like any special promotions or you just want to promote the business. Let us a little bit know about Memphis Success, the podcast. The floor is yours. Just kind of throw it all out there. All right. Well, hey, cool. Well, first of all, man, once again, thank you for allowing me to be on the show. I always enjoy chatting with you, man. I know we could talk for hours. Right. And, you know, the main thing, at least I would like to share for everybody, is my company, Good Hands Community Care. You know, we've been in business going on for 8 years now, serving Shelby County, Tipton, and Fayette County. And what we really do is provide peace of mind to families.
I hear that.
You know, that was the main thing that I wanted to have for my grandmother when we were getting services for her. It's just peace of mind, even though I'm not able to be there physically for my grandmother, that I knew somebody was there with a caring and loving spirit there to to care for her.
Right.
And so we are not some franchised business. We're a small, locally owned business right here.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you can always reach out and talk to me. I'm an active owner.
Gotcha.
Engaged.
Right.
And so, we're there to support. And, what we really provide is that peace of mind. But, we do the personal care services, such as helping them get dressed and ready for the morning, bathe and have their clothes on and so forth, as well as homemaker services. And that really is, doing light cleaning around the home, preparing the meals, as well as the companion care, and being there for the family. So
for sure.
That's what we do at Good Hands. You can give us a call at 901-286-2515. And we're on Facebook with Good Hands Home Care, as well as our website is goodhandcares.com. And so, as Dominic was stating, Memphis Success, the voice of Memphis entrepreneurs. Well, actually, before I give that plug, I want to say one thing, man. I've noticed one thing, man, that I love about you is that when me and you connected, just through social media. For sure. And knew, like, hey, you had the startup life, I had Memphis Success, but you and I met over lunch just to chat, man.
Right.
And, I just thought, it's just so powerful where we can come together as podcasters or business owners or whatever.
Right.
But just come together and just talk and share and trying to help grow each other.
Absolutely.
And I just think that's just so very key. And, even in my home care business, I have people who are in the same industry and business. Right. And we talk with each other. And the point is this, I think some people have a lack mindset, and I think that prevents a lot of people from growing, right? Versus having an abundant mindset and just realizing there's so much opportunity, out there. And my other peer in this business of the home care business, for sure, she and I were just talking about, honestly, if we had all, we couldn't handle all of that business anyway.
Exactly. Right.
We couldn't really handle all of that business anyway. So why not, help each other win?
Absolutely.
And succeed.
Absolutely.
And that's the mindset that we got to have, and just be an abundant, not lack, right? And just really helping each other grow. So, with that being said, Memphis Success is the voice of Memphis entrepreneurs here. I interview local entrepreneurs right here in the Mid-South to share their stories, to inspire you. Hey, inspire me, right? To do better and to grow. And so, you can go to memphissuccess.com. We're on Facebook as well as Memphis Success. And if you haven't listened, check out the Owls, Dominic and Kendall Lawson, on the most recent episode. And look, guys, they did a phenomenal job.
Thank you.
Like I was saying, I like to kind of hold back on episodes that I know are the bomb. So
I'll let you know that the check is in the mail for those nice words. I appreciate that for sure. And no, I share your sentiment, man. It's one of those things where, and we've talked about this before. It's one of those things where, like, look, man, we can all win. Right. It ain't gotta be a situation where Darnell win, I lose, and vice versa. We can all win, and we can collaborate. Matter of fact, in my head, I'm writing another episode to bring you on the startup life again. Okay. So it's just one of those things, man, where, like, we can all win. We don't have to have a lack mindset. So no, I appreciate you sharing it, and I absolutely share your sentiment for sure, man. For sure. Last but not least, man, any parting advice for any entrepreneurs in Startup Nation before we wrap up for today, man?
Well, yeah, the only thing I would like to share is, man, there's so many opportunities. There's so many opportunities, especially with online opportunities. Right. You have a lot of knowledge in whatever you're doing. I think I heard someone state sometimes what you know is more valuable than actually what you do.
It's true.
And I think there's holding people back. There's something holding someone back. And, I know for me, maybe it was confidence or fear. But once you face that fear and you move forward, what I've realized is it's going to attract people to you.
Right.
And those doors are going to start to open because you're starting to make a movement in the atmosphere. And then people are going to start to come and help you achieve your goal. But they want to see the action, that you're taking. And kind of just makes me think back on another question you were asking. There's a lot of people who say they want to start a business.
Right.
But they are not taking any action to start the business.
Right.
And if you're constantly talking but not taking action, then people are not going to want to help.
It's true. It's very true.
They're not going to want to, because nowadays there's so much information out there. And one thing also, man, is done is better than perfect.
Absolutely.
And you got to go through different iterations, right? When you look at the iPhone, it started off with one version, and I don't even know what it's on, 6 or 7 or what.
I lost count.
But the point is this.
Right.
They couldn't get to 7 without starting with the first one.
There you go.
Right? So you got to get started. And it's going to look bad, but, you got to get started with something to get it going, and then you constantly improve and get better.
Absolutely.
We're, from our business standpoint, we're light years ahead of where we were 8 years ago. Right. But we had to get started. Right. And I'm just encouraging the Startup Nation to break through those barriers. I don't know what it is. Right. Is it some mental roadblocks, people in your life? I don't know. You got to break through those barriers and get started by taking the action. Absolutely. As Dominic said on the interview, you got to do the work. You got to do the work, man. You got to get started, and don't expect it to be perfect day one. Right. But I believe you'll be successful once you get started. You'll get the traction. You'll build the momentum, and you will get better.
I hear that. And that's going to wrap up the Startup Life, man. Did you enjoy it?
Hey, man, I enjoyed it, man.
Awesome stuff. All right, Startup Nation. So here's my final take. When it comes to Darnell Reid, he really is one of those thought-provoking entrepreneurs. You always hear about the one that's like all brakes, no gas, or go, 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 go. And that's fine. But Darnell Reid isn't really one of those type of people. Don't get me wrong. This brother hustles. But at the same time, he takes a really thought-provoking approach to his path of entrepreneurship, especially when he talks about his employees. He understands that is a massive responsibility when he hires new people and creating new jobs. He also understands that the decisions he makes not only affect his business and his family, but countless other families as well. If you want to let us know what you think about our show, have an idea for a show topic, or would like to advertise on our show, send us a message on the Startup Life Podcast Facebook page. And while you're there, like and follow our page as well. It's a new way for us to engage with you, Startup Nation, and really grow our community. The link is here in the show notes. Subscribe to the show, as it can now be heard on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher Radio, and SoundCloud. If you are listening on iTunes and you find our content valuable, please give us a 5-star rating, as it will help us climb the charts and help more people find our show. And hey, if you have an idea, be about that life, the Startup Life.